Hey, it looks like we're live. Um, Good morning. I'm on earlier than usual today, and in Chicago, we were hit with a snowstorm. It's a lot of wind, a little bit of snow. They're calling it a squall. There's a squall kicking up here. And I have to say, I don't know, it's been a couple days since I checked the weather, and I actually thought that it was going to um, I knew it was coming, but I thought it was tomorrow, not today. So kind of threw me for a loop because I'm supposed to head downtown and changing what I'm wearing. So want to get a little warmer coat on. So that's why you see me in layers. That's what Chicago's all about, live in the layers. And um, and so that put me a little few minutes behind today, but I am here, I am live, and I'm going to also be trying something different that just came to me as I was walking um, downstairs into my office. And so I do not even know if this is going to work. I just don't even know if it's going to work, but I'm going to try it because I have something. Um, uh, this is probably one of my favorite LinkedIn Lives that I've done ever. Um, Even though I have to tell you, I'll in almost every week I'm like, "Ooh, I'm so excited to talk about what I'm talking about today." But this particular topic um, is, I call it the three things you need to create your ideal career. So get ready to enter the Career Alchemy Vortex. And I am going to show a slide if I can. I'm going to show a slide of a picture. If I can't, I can describe it, but that's the thing I'm going to try to do differently today. So we'll see if it works on live. I don't know. Um, but let's get started. So it's January, right? It's January 2026. And there is something we cannot deny that there's, between like Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving. So between November and now, January, there just seems to be this energy of wanting to change things up a little bit, right? Every year I think to myself, in the summer, I think, oh, that's not going to happen again. I'm not going to feel like that. And then I do. Just like in the spring, I start to like want to clear out my house. And then by summer, I'm like, I'm not going to want to do that again. And then by spring, that energy is back. So I think there's this cyclical, um, energetic kind of inspiration or kind of things that push you forward, that come and then come, and just when you think you're not going to have that energy to do that thing again, there it is, it enters into you and you can do that thing again. And in January, it's this this desire to transform even a little bit. So when I think about uh, the career alchemy vortex, when I think about that, like this energy vortex, I think about it as a place, especially in January, where, because again, the vortex energy shifts all year. It shifts into different things, and it inspires us in different ways. And and in January, it's where effort meets ease, I guess, is what the way I think about it. So it is not about um, creating all the strategy roadmaps, and though you might do that, but that isn't necessarily how you enter into the vortex. It's not about creating vision boards or smart goals. It's not about any of that. It involves three forces: desire, imagination, and willingness. And that calls you forward. Like, desire is the thing that leaps up inside and sort of it starts to accelerate you and call you forward. And then your imagination is that place that where you step into your future self um, before it even exists. You know, that you begin to put form to this desire through your imagination. And then the like key uh, of the triad of this vortex energy is the willingness. The willingness lets you leave behind what's no longer needed, what's no longer necessary, so that you can, through the activation of desire, imagination, and then this willingness, you can stop chasing all the shiny pennies. You can stop burning out by climbing all the ladders. You can step into, through this alignment of these three, desire and imagination and willingness, you can step into the vortex and begin to create the ideal career and life that you've been dreaming about. And so I wanted to see if I could bring up a slide here on, I can't imagine it's not going to work, but at the same time, having never done this before, as far as I remember, I just don't know. But let's just try it. I'm really hoping that you can see on LinkedIn this beautiful image that my assistant created a few years ago that I cannot get enough of. We've all heard about the analogy, the metaphor of the caterpillar to the butterfly. But I'm going to talk about it, I think, in a little bit different way today. And this is showing up well on my screen, so I'm hoping it's showing up well out there on YouTube and Instagram and LinkedIn. So what we're talking about is activating desire, willingness, imagination, and willingness. So you stop chasing chasing all the pennies, like I said, and you step into a place that I call the career alchemy vortex, where your effort, allows your ideal career to unfold effortlessly. So the ideal career happens with effort, but also effortlessly. So now if you can look at this picture, and if you're not seeing it for some reason, I know you can imagine that there's a branch. I call it the branch of support. It's the place, when I think about career coaching, it's that place where where the people I'm coaching, my clients, and the alchemists inside of Career Alchemy Academy, I like to remind them that branch of support is always there for you. It's there for you as a caterpillar, as a butterfly, and in between, when you're cocooning and when you're emerging from the cocoon, you can know that branch of support in the form of, me, your friends, your family, your therapists, your doctors, your, professors, your peers, your bosses, like that all of that lives inside that branch, right? So you have this branch of support, and you are right now the caterpillar. I'm already tapping into your imagination a little bit, but just, I think we can get there pretty easily, that we're a caterpillar, we're going along. Now it's like September, October, November. We've just going along on, doing our thing, munching on the leaves, doing what we need to do, to survive and thrive even. But out of nowhere, this caterpillar spies a butterfly. And there is, because I think of desire, the energy of desire, it alerts us through, I think in India they call it spanda, but there's this leap inside of us. And so imagine you're this caterpillar, and you see a butterfly ahead of you, and you're like, oh, what is that? I want that. I desire to become that. Like, you can't help yourself. You've been going along not even thinking about things. And all of a sudden you spy this wonderful, beautiful butterfly, and you just know deep inside you that that is your future. That is your destiny. When you spot the butterfly, there's this yearning that leaps up, this desire to become a butterfly. And you don't become a butterfly by trying harder. You become a butterfly by simply wanting a different state of being. And that's the desire, this wanting of a different state of being in your career, you know, the work you've been doing, how you've been working, who you've been working with, what you've been working on. Like there's just some sort of you know, a wanting of a different state of being. That's the desire that steps in. So when that happens and you acknowledge the desire, the caterpillar begins to cocoon itself. So it begins to create this cocoon, begins to, sort of wrap itself up in this desire. And the cocoon, I always think of it as like a rehearsal space. It's not just, pulling the covers over your head. Sometimes I say I'm cocooning inside my bed right now, like pulling the covers over your head and just kind of letting the world. That's not what we're talking about when we're moving from desire to, from caterpillar to butterfly, from this desire to have and be something different to actually being there. So the cocoon is this rehearsal space that for you that's already living your ideal career. So inside the cocoon, the caterpillar doesn't simply look at the butterfly, it experiences being one. So it can feel the butterfly as it sits on the branch, like, it's no longer, I don't know, how many legs does a caterpillar have? It's no longer like 8 legs, it's just 2, and sitting there on the branch of support. It can imagine itself as its wings begin to flap and it lifts off the branch. You can, and so if you can do this, like even close your eyes if you're in a place where you can do that and imagine that you are the butterfly, become that butterfly and, feel yourself sort of sitting on this branch, your feet, and then you're looking out and you're like, like what do these things do? And you start to flap those wings a little bit and you lift off of the branch and now you are soaring, you're flying, and you look down and you're like, there's my backyard and there's my garden and there's that wheelbarrow and there's that fencing and there's my neighbor's place and there's the garage and oh my gosh, and look over, there's some bee balm that I can sit down on and get some nourishment from. I don't even know if butterflies do that, but but you are in my world, they do. So you're imagining you have become this butterfly, and that is, I've said it a lot, but that is where you've now ignited your desire and turned it into, using your imagination, you are starting to feel what it feels like to be a butterfly and seeing what a butterfly sees and moving and saying to yourself, I'm going to move off of this branch over to that branch over there and down over to the milkweed in that beautiful side garden that this family planted for me. How wonderful is that? And so off you go, right? In your imagination, you are becoming. So if we take this into your career, it's sort of you imagining yourself standing on stage speaking, something you might never have thought you would do, or you imagine yourself receiving an offer and you're looking at that offer letter and it's got a number in there for your salary where you're like, holy cats, I can get a new roof on the house or buy the new car, like, isn't that a wonderful thing? You're imagining sitting in a meeting and you're leading it, or you're imagining your boss praising you in a meeting, like all of that the desire to become like that different version of yourself, because we know that you're taking the caterpillar with you, but you're becoming something different. And in your imagination, you're feeling it. You are really like just saying, thank you for acknowledging the hard work I did. It was my pleasure, and this team that I worked with made it all possible. Like you can imagine yourself saying that in a meeting, right? So as that image becomes more real inside of the cocoon, using the imagination, something else is also happening. There is a willingness that starts to enter into the cocoon, and kind of like the cells of willingness, become um, very visceral. Like you can feel like you can feel this willingness to let go or dissolve what was in order to create what you desire. So now we've moved from this desire of a caterpillar into a butterfly. Like all of a sudden it's like, never thought about it. And all of a sudden it wants that. To using the imagination to imagine becoming the butterfly. And while it's in this cocoon, this sort of safe cocoon, there's no one else has to know you're dreaming about this at night, or as you're taking your walk, that you are in this cocoon of desire and willingness. And that willingness is what it's sort of your old form softening, and the old identity kind of being released, and not through force, like I said, but through willingness. So it isn't necessarily, I mean, there might be some growing pains. There might be a little bit of grieving about, like if you're thinking about leaving your company, there might be some of that going on, but there is this willingness, like, I'm ready for this. Like I'm scared, yes, because I don't know what's going to be fully required of me, but I can imagine the success that I'm going to have. I can imagine the reception I'm going to have from people, that are going to be excited about me joining the team, perhaps, or the applause at an event where I've spoken at, or the invitation to join a board. Like I can imagine all of that, even with the feeling of being scared, but I have this willingness to do what's needed to become what I desire. And as you can see, as that willingness grows in you, you begin to outgrow the cocoon. Like you can't help it. You as the future butterfly that's flying around the backyard, in between is using the muscles, doing what's necessary to release this cocoon of imagination into the reality of becoming this butterfly. And so that's that willingness. So I'm going to stop the share, but just take one more picture, or one more look at this beautiful picture, that put myself bigger back on screen, hopefully. And remind you that it's when that desire meets your imagination and meets your willingness, so all of those align, the cocoon then breaks open, not violently, inevitably. It's just inevitable that this is going to happen, because you have now imagined the future, and it has become a felt experience, and you just cannot, it's so hard. Well, I guess you can. There's always this free will aspect to it, but don't allow fear to keep you stuck, because if you don't break through, it's like dying on the branch. So you don't create your future by staring at images or just thinking about it, but you tap into this imagination, and you begin to live it inside of this cocoon first. So you're living it first. So now I come to some questions for you. Do you know what your career desire is? Do you know what your career desire is? And let's just pick one thing right now, like one particular career desire. And maybe it is to sit on a panel with other women in tech to talk about the rabbit hole you've gone down with AI. I'm looking to try to build that panel. I'm talking to some places about building it, moderating this panel, because that's part of what I've been imagining. And because I'm seeing my coaching clients, and they're using AI in so many different ways. So practical use cases, and I want to talk about that, right? So that's part of my desire, that I've been imagining who'd be on the panel, what the stage would look like. Like that's me inside the cocoon, imagining getting a yes from people, that yes, we want to do this panel, and that the panelists that I've been thinking about say yes to me, and then and then I'm willing now to make the calls and to write the copy that we need and do the things that are necessary to bring awareness to it, right? So that's kind of my example. But you, for yourself, just one big or small dream that you have, and then imagine how you're feeling as imagine yourself there, it's happening. You're shaking the hand of of your new boss, for example, and or whatever it is. And how is that feeling, that firm grip of the hand? What are you thinking in your head? Like, oh my gosh, it's happening. How are you acting? What's around you? Who's there? What are you wearing? Where are you at? What does this location look like? So you're really imagining this dream, this, small or big career dream that you can access right now, just something, and imagine all the details of it and really feel it. And it's like acting on stage. Become this character a little bit that is actually no problem, living this career dream. And then ask yourself, are you willing to let your career, your life transform in all the ways necessary so that you can live out, you can make manifest in real life this desire? So, and as you start answering these questions, this is my desire. Yes, I can imagine what it feels like. And you know what? Yes, I'm willing to do what's needed and necessary to break out of this cocoon, to build the muscles, meet the people, do the work so that I can have this. That's the alchemist vortex, the career alchemist vortex, where your willingness makes manifest your imagined desires. So that is what I wanted to talk to you about today. And there is nothing more powerful than your imagination. Imagination, desire with imagination, this willingness, and anything is possible. Anything is possible. But I will say that being able to imagine, and you can see, like, I close my eyes because I have to shut out what looks real in front of me right now sometimes, so that I can imagine what I dream of more clearly. And then I can, through my imagination, actually feel it, and see the people and laugh out loud as we're sitting around a table, doing some really impactful work and having fun while we're doing it. Like, these are the things I'm imagining for myself. This is what I'm holding for you, this branch of support. I am here holding that for you. You can come back to it how often you need, as you move from caterpillar to butterfly. So that's what I have to share with you today. If you're here in Chicago, I don't think we need to shovel, but drive safely or cocoon inside your homes and start to feel your desire. What are those desires? Allow yourself to actually feel your desires. Sometimes we block those. Allow yourself, as you're cocooning in your home today, or this evening or whenever you have this opportunity, and allow those desires, just be like, come on, desires, I'm not stopping you right now. And then tap into your imagination and feel like what one of those, just one of those might look like fully manifested, as the butterfly. So that's it for this week. And as always, Career Alchemy, the doors are open to you. Join us. This whole month, we're talking about willingness and imagination and desire. And coaching is happening around a whole bunch of different things, from interviews to uh, difficult colleagues to and this is it's happening, we're in January again, and so lots of shifting going on inside of organizations, uh, people being moved to different teams, projects, starting up that have been on hold for a while, like all kinds of changes happening. So Career Alchemy Academy is that branch of support for you, and I welcome you, and I look forward to you joining. And no matter what, tap into that desire through your imagination, create what you, in your mind, in your body, what you really want, and then find the willingness to do one thing that's moving you closer to that dream. So I'll talk to you all soon.